Ever met someone who seems to attract chaos like a magnet? Everywhere they go, something goes wrong, and somehow they're always the one holding the solution. Yeah, that's not luck. That's a system. Let's talk about the 15 ways the savior complex operates. Because once you see them, you can't unsee them. Method 1. The hurt and rescue tactic. Let's start with the classic. The manipulator creates a calculated crisis, physical, psychological, or situational. They trigger fear and panic in you, and then, right on cue, they swoop in to save the day. Imagine someone who starts an argument out of nowhere. They push your buttons, make you upset, and then, once you're a mess, they comfort you. They become your hero. The problem, they cause the problem. They hurt you so they could rescue you. This is the foundation of everything else. Once you understand this one, the rest makes perfect sense. Method 2. Planting the problem themselves. Sometimes it's not just emotional, sometimes it's literal. There's a famous case from 1984. A Los Angeles police officer named Jimmy Wade Pearson discovered a bomb on the Turkish Olympic team's bus. He was the only officer on scene. He heroically ripped out the wires and saved everyone. He was arrested the next day for planting the bomb himself. He created a deadly situation just so he could be the one to fix it. This is the extreme end of the spectrum, but the logic is the same. If there's no crisis, make one. Method 3. Magnifying small problems into disasters. Not every crisis needs to be manufactured from scratch. Sometimes you just take a small issue and blow it up. Your partner forgets to take out the trash. That's not an inconvenience. That's a sign they don't respect you. Your coworker makes a minor mistake. That's not a slip-up. That's incompetence that will ruin the entire project. By exaggerating the problem, the savior creates a sense of urgency. And urgency means they need to step in. They become the only one who can fix what they've made seem unfixable. Method 4. Selective helpfulness. Here's a subtle one. The savior doesn't help with everything. They help with the things that make them look good. They'll drive you to the hospital at 3 a.m. and make sure everyone knows about it. They'll lend you money and bring it up for years. But the boring everyday help, the kind that doesn't get applause, they're mysteriously unavailable. This isn't about helping. This is about performing help. Method 5. Undermining your confidence. A savior needs you to believe you can't do it alone, so they subtly chip away at your confidence. Are you sure you can handle that? That's really complicated. Most people can't figure it out. I don't want you to get hurt. Let me do it. Over time, you start to doubt yourself. And who do you turn to when you doubt yourself? The person who told you you couldn't do it in the first place. Method 6. The I'm the only one. Saviors genuinely believe no one else can help the way they can. They position themselves as the exclusive solution. Think about it. If 5 people can solve a problem, you're not special. But if you're the only one, now you're irreplaceable. Now you have leverage. Now people need you. So they dismiss other people's help. They criticize other solutions. They make sure you know, loud and clear, that only they truly understand what you're going through. Method 7. Creating dependency. The savior doesn't want you to get better. They want you to get better because of them. And the best way to ensure that, make sure you can't function without them. They'll handle your finances. They'll manage your schedule. They'll make all the big decisions. Slowly, you stop making choices for yourself. And when you can't make choices, you can't leave. This isn't love. This is a hostage situation with a smile. Method 8. The rescue cycle in relationships. Saviors are drawn to broken people, people with trauma, people with addiction, people who are constantly in crisis. Why? Because broken people need saving, and saving people is what saviors do. But here's the catch. The savior doesn't actually want the person to get better. Because if they get better, they don't need saving anymore. And if they don't need saving, what's the savior's purpose? So they keep choosing partners who are perpetually in crisis, and they keep the cycle going. Method 9. Excessive personal sacrifice. This one looks noble from the outside. The savior gives and gives and gives. They sacrifice sleep, money, health, relationships, all for the person they're saving, and they want you to see it. They want you to know how much they're suffering for you. I haven't slept in 3 days because of you. I spent my last dollar helping you. I gave up everything for you. This isn't sacrifice. This is emotional blackmail dressed up as love. Method 10. Unsolicited advice. Saviors can't stand seeing someone struggle, even if that person didn't ask for help. They jump in with solutions before anyone asks. The problem? Not every problem has an immediate solution, and sometimes people just want a vent. But the savior doesn't care. They need to fix it. They need to be the one with the answer. And if you don't take their advice, they take it personally, because in their mind, rejecting their advice means rejecting them. Method 11. The white savior complex on the world stage. Now let's zoom out. This doesn't just happen in relationships. It happens on a global scale. The white savior complex describes people, often from wealthy Western countries, who travel to developing nations to help, but end up doing more harm than good. Take Renee Bach. In 2009, she was a 19-year-old American with no medical training. She founded a non-profit in Uganda to feed malnourished children. But because the children were sick, she started administering medical care without a license, without training. Children died, more than 100 of them. The activist group No White Saviors called her the Angel of Death. She wasn't helping, she was killing. But she believed she was a savior. That's the danger. Method 12. Simplifying complex problems. Real problems are messy. They have history, context, and no easy answers. But the savior doesn't have time for that. They reduce complex issues to simple narratives. Good versus evil. Victim versus oppressor. Them versus us. This makes it easier to save people. You don't need to understand the nuance. You just need to pick a side and charge in. The problem? This often makes things worse. It ignores local solutions, undermines local leaders, and imposes external answers that don't fit. Method 13. The covert narcissist's mask. Here's the twist. Sometimes the savior isn't doing this consciously. They genuinely believe they're helping. But underneath, it's narcissism. Specifically, grandiose exhibitionism, a need for attention, admiration, and control. Covert narcissists hide their manipulation behind a mask of kindness. They seem so helpful, so selfless. But every act of help is calculated. Every sacrifice is strategic. They're not saving you, they're building their own image. Method 14. The unconscious self-deception. This is the scariest one. Most saviors don't know they're doing this. They genuinely believe they're the good guy. They're the hero of their own story. They don't see the control, the manipulation, the dependency they're creating. And because they don't see it, they can't stop it. They'll keep creating crises, keep rescuing people, keep burning themselves out, all while believing they're doing the right thing. This is why it's so hard to change. You can't fix a problem you don't know exists. Method 15. The cycle that never ends. Finally, the most important one. The savior complex is a cycle. It feeds itself. Create crisis, rescue, get praise, feel valuable, need more praise, create another crisis. The savior isn't saving anyone. They're feeding an addiction to being needed, to being important, to being the center of someone else's world. And the people they save, they're not being saved. They're being kept small, dependent, and grateful. They're being robbed of their own strength, their own growth, their own ability to stand up. The savior thinks they're the solution, but they're actually the problem. Stay sharp. So there you have it. 15 ways the savior complex operates. 15 ways people create crises just to become the only solution. Here's the thing. If you recognize yourself in any of this, don't panic. Most people with savior complex aren't evil. They're just scared. Scared of being unimportant. Scared of being useless. Scared that without someone to save, they'd have nothing at all. But here's the truth. You don't need to save anyone to be valuable. You don't need to be a hero to be loved. And you definitely don't need to start fires just to put them out. Sometimes the greatest thing you can do is step back. Let people fall. Let them scrape their knees. Let them stand up on their own. Because that's not abandonment, that's respect. That's believing they can do it without you. And that, more than any rescue, is the real gift.